This is Mountain Vision. Welcome to the Wildcats Football Coaches Show, your home for all things Flint River football, with Wildcats head coach Josh Dare and your host David Carden.
Let's go!
Welcome to the Flint River Academy Coaches Show with head coach Josh Dare. I'm your host, David Carden. The Wildcats traveled to Monticello to take on Piedmont Academy last Friday and fell 48-28. Coach, definitely not the outcome you wanted.
No, definitely not. But it's also a team that's pretty good. We saw them on film and we knew they were good, but when you see them in person, you play against them, you realize just how good they are. There's not many spots on the field where they're weak. They execute, they block well, they tackle well, they do all the little things they do great. And it's just we had to go in and play a perfect game and have some things go our way, and we did have some things go our way, but we failed to play that perfect game. Had a couple turnovers, and just we lost to a really good team, and it's not something that we really hang our head about. Kids battle, they played pretty good. You talk about playing a really good team. You have 3 starters go down. You have a couple starters that are hobbling along the whole game, not anywhere near 100%. And with 11 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, it's 34-28. So a lot of things that we took away from the game as positives, and talked about the kids after the game and talked about the positives. And when you play a team that good, you got to play really good, and we didn't. So.
Y'all started off really hot. I mean, first play from scrimmage, really nice touchdown to James Murphy right down the seam.
Yeah, that's something we've been practicing for a couple weeks. We know that when we went into our dub set, which is 2 receivers on each side, that they take both of their safeties and open up the middle of the field, and they want their running backs to run with their linebackers to run with our running backs. So we knew going into it that was going to be the first play of the game. If they aligned the way that we thought they were going to, and they did. And I gave them the thumbs up on the sideline. That means let's run it. And Parker made a perfect throw. James ran a great route. Line blocked it well. I mean, they executed it and worked out great.
So y'all playing that coming in. How long did y'all practice that leading up to that game?
Well, we had been watching film on them for a little while, and we saw where a couple films that they got that set. They just left the middle of the field wide open, and they like to, pressure your receivers, so their corners were pressing and their safeties came down, so they really had nobody past 10 yards and nobody in the middle of the field either. So we knew if we got that look that their linebackers couldn't run with James on,
right,
running down the middle of the field. So
well, probably a lot of people have a tough time running with James.
That's right. That is exactly right.
After the strong start, y'all can kind of continue out. They had a really good special teams night.
Yep.
The first thing that jumped out, y'all had 3 blocked extra point attempts.
We did, yeah. Parker came in off the edge and blocked their first one, and then right after he did that, they started focusing on him, which let Luke Hardaway come from the inside and block 2 more. So, they did a good job blocking the extra points and going hard. We scored the touchdown, and then we had been working on an onside kick all week, and we're inches from getting that. I mean, if that ball just spins a little bit different, we get that ball on the sideline, and now it's 7-0, and we got the ball again. We ended up getting an onside kick later on in the game. We didn't allow them to get an onside kick, which is something that they've been great and very successful at. They, faked a punt. We tackled the punter. So, the special teams was phenomenal all night for us. So.
And y'all made every extra point y'all took, which is something y'all hadn't done a lot this season.
Well, and James has been out the past couple weeks, so being able to kick the extra point, all the snaps were great, the holds were great, the kicks were great. So, like I said earlier, there's a lot of positives to take away from that game, and that was definitely one of them.
Let's talk about their onside kicks. I know we talked about it a little last week. When you get to watch it, they've got, I guess, 3 different ways they kick that. They start out in a little weird, we called it a kickoff huddle. I don't know what else to call it.
Right.
And sometimes they'll fake that. Mm-hmm. How often did y'all practice that?
Well, that's the first time that they've done that this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we call it a little muddle huddle.
Yeah.
They just get in there tight and they run to the ball. And there was one time they tried it and we recovered it, and then all the other times they would just stop and then spread out. And this was actually the first time that we've seen where they've actually had 2 kickers. So they had 5 on one side, 6 on the other, and two kickers that could kick it either way, so you couldn't shift. So, you know, we'd practiced all week shifting to where their kicker was, because they had one kicker, and when he was on this side, when he was on the left side, he was kicking it to the right. When he was on the right side, he was kicking it to the left. And we'd practiced all week doing that, and then they come out in that, and it doesn't allow you to shift. So you got to stay in the middle of the field a little bit more, which allows the sidelines to be a little bit more open, but they don't kick it wide enough to really put that into effect. So, but I mean, our guys, we practiced all week about reading the hop, and if it was something with pace, get out of the way. If it was kicked hard, let the next guy get it. But anytime we get a big hop, go get it and go down, and the kids executed it great. So.
Yeah, they did a really good job once they got that ball. They just went down with it to make sure they held on to it, maintained possession.
That's right. That's exactly right. So.
When y'all saw that little muddle huddle to start the game, after that, did y'all kind of coach them up on the sidelines? Maybe this is what we need to do. If they
well, it's just simply just walking in tighter. You know, you just got to get as tight as they are, and then when they expand, you expand. So the kids, they did a really good job of adjusting to it.
And y'all had a little shift on y'all's kickoff this time too. Y'all bring everybody in kind of close.
Right.
Is that something y'all knew you were going to do going into the game?
Yeah, absolutely. We knew the first kickoff that we got, we were onside in it, and we start out wide, and we had Parker on our sideline, and he was right there, and we had all of our guys on the sideline standing as close to him as they could, so you couldn't see him. And then James just calls everybody in. The same effect as their muddle huddle. We bring everybody in, and that brought all of their guys in. Well, they didn't see Parker, and James kicked it right over the first line to the sideline, and Parker went down there and tried to recover it, and it just trickled out of bounds. So it was that close to being a well-executed play. So.
You mentioned y'all had some guys banged up, some guys got hurt. One really scary moment was when Jacob Chester went down. You want to talk a little bit on how he's doing?
Yeah, he's doing much better. He was at school Monday, and you know, moving, has a hard time turning. He kind of looks like he's got a crick in his neck every time he turns to look at you, but doing much better. I mean, that was scary. All right, so what happened was they threw a pass to their receiver, Michael Edwards, and he goes up and catches the ball, and as he comes down, Jacob makes the tackle and strips him as he makes the tackle, so now there's a fumble. Well, Jacob's taking him down. There's a fumble, so he starts crawling to go get it, and Quinlan comes in from the side and dives in to get it as well. Well, Quinlan goes helmet to helmet with Jacob, and that kind of jarred his neck back, and that's when it all started. So when we first got over there, he had no feeling in his arms and no feeling in his legs, so immediately, you know, that's scary. It's all get out right there. He had a bad headache and tingling in the neck and the spine area. And the longer we sat there and the longer we talked to him, he started getting feeling back. And they wanted to go ahead and just get him in the ambulance and get him sent off more for precaution than anything, just to make sure there was nothing serious. And once he started getting all of his feeling and moving all of his limbs, we kind of were able to breathe a little sigh of relief. That's exactly right. But then they just still said it would be best for him to get in an ambulance. Let's go check him out just to make sure there's nothing serious. So.
Right. And then both teams came together and I guess had a prayer at kind of midfield. Was that some of y'all's coaches, some of their coaches?
Coach Tanner, he's a good friend of mine. You know, we've been great friends for the past 5 or 6 years, and he came over and said, let's get them all together. I said, that's a great idea. So we brought them all together and just said a quick prayer for them. And it's great that you can do that in this league. It's great that you're in a rival game and something like that happens and everybody comes together, and it's just it's a special league. It's a special rivalry. It's just we're really excited. Jacob's back and he's going to have to wear a brace for a couple weeks. I don't think there's any serious damage, but definitely scary. So, but it's something he'll work through, and he was hating leaving, but it was what was best.
Right.
So.
Well, that's good news to hear that he's going to be okay.
Absolutely.
Couple other injuries, less serious note. Evans and Quinlan both got banged up in that game.
Yeah, well, Quinlan, he's had the bruised ribs and the strained muscle for probably going on 4 or 5 weeks now. And he made a tackle on the sideline, and when he made the tackle, the guy just simply fell on his ribs, and that hurt him extremely bad. So he had to come out, and then Cullen came up and make a tackle on their quarterback, and he hit the quarterback. You can see it on film. He hits the quarterback, but then his legs kind of go straight up in the air. And when they do, he comes down just 100%, all of his weight right on his shoulder. And that dislocated it, knocked it out of joint. So he had to go to the hospital. he got that set back in, and he's got to take this week off. And we're hoping with a speedy recovery, he may be eligible to play next Friday. So that would be great if he could, because we really missed him. You know, we missed all of them, but Cullen's our deep threat, and when that guy that stretches the field comes off, it kind of changes our offense, because now they're not having to guard north and south, east and west. Now they're just having to guard sideline to sideline, and we didn't really have that guy that could run by them. So that hurt us. And then, you know, we lost Quinlan, we lost Parker. I'm sorry, we lost Quinlan, we lost Jacob, and we lost Cullen. And when you lose three of your wide receivers, it was tough. You know, towards the end of the game, we were drawing stuff up in the dirt and just making up formations. And, you know, normally when we're in trips and in our empty sets, we got Greg off the field, and we had to keep him on the field because we didn't have any more receivers we could put in. So it was a fun night. You know, it was kind of it was fun calling plays and trying to figure it all out. Coaches were talking and making it all work, and you know, the kids executed. You know, it's I hate that we lost, but at the same time, when you look at the injuries and look at everything that happened, when you're down 7 points to a team of that caliber with 11 minutes to go in the fourth, it just shows, you know, these kids have been fighting and giving it all they got and just trying to find a way to win a big game. You know, we've yet to win that big game this year, so I'm hoping when we go to Briarwood next week that there's no better time to win that big game than in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully it'll all click there, and we'll move on and advance in the playoffs.
We'll be back with more of head coach Josh Dare right after this.
Murray Company Realtors in Griffin offer a wonderful riverfront family home. This two-story Victorian-style home located off Highway 18 along the Flint River features 3 bedrooms with 2 full and 1 half bath, open living room, and a full finished basement. Situated on more than 24 acres with a view of the Flint River, this beauty is over 3,300 square feet. Call Mark Hawkins today to view this lovely home. Looking to buy, sell, or rent? Murray Company Realtors is ready to meet your real estate needs.
I'm Ray Lampe, Dr. Barbecue, and I'm here to tell you about the Big Green Egg, the ultimate cooking experience. The versatility of the Big Green Egg is unmatched. It delivers big results as a grill, a smoker, and even an outdoor oven. When the doctor cooks, I demand the best, and that's why I cook on the Big Green Egg, the ultimate cooking experience.
Visit Taylor Foster Hardware in Manchester and start enjoying the ultimate cooking experience on the Big Green Egg. Taylor Foster Hardware, Main Street in Manchester.
Welcome back to the Flint River Academy Coach Show with head coach Josh Dare. Coach, we were just talking about all the injuries, and you know, you had to get some new guys in at receiver. You also had to make some changes on defense because of those injuries. You had to move your corners from out wide in to play safety, and then bring in a couple of guys to play corner. Right. How did that work on the defensive side?
You know, it was tricky early on. You know, because Jacob got into the game because Cullen went down, so we already had to move Parker to safety, Jacob to corner, and then Jacob got hurt, so now we had to move him out. We moved James in. Quinlan went down. So now you're talking about taking 3 secondary guys out of the equation, and we had to bring those guys in. And, you know, they did a great job covering the guys, making sure nobody was wide open, and they didn't hit any big pass plays. But they didn't have to because they were running it right down our throats. So, those guys stepped up and came in and did a great job, you know. So it's been like that all year. It's just been next guy up, and any time we've had to look for somebody to come in, we don't really lose a ton, you know, and those guys came in. And, you know, Posey made a couple great open field tackles. He made one huge one on the kickoff late in the first half where we kick it deep, and one runs all the way. We're trying to kick it away from one. He's one of their best athletes. He runs all the way across the field, picks the ball up, and tries to reverse field, and Posey ends up tackling him inside the 10. You know, so that was something that could have been a disaster if he gets outside of Posey. Now you got one in the open field trying to bring him down. I mean, that's a heck of a tackle he made. So, you know, they seem to overcome it and keep it together, and they were familiar with all the coverages and you know, came up, made some plays for us. So, you know, we were happy with them.
You were talking about being down just the 6 points coming there, or right at the start of the fourth quarter. Y'all had a big comeback to get to that point. A couple of big fourth down conversions late in that game too. One on a Parker Williams quarterback sweep. Yeah.
You know, it was like fourth and 3 or 4th and 4 in the red zone, and Parker came over and said, "Coach, let's run quarterback sweep." I said, all right. You know, you love it when a player comes and says something like that. You know, you want to call a play that they're confident with. And when they come and give a suggestion, as long as it's not off the wall and it makes sense, you're like, well, I tend to like to go with them, you know, because if they're confident in a play and we're in the huddle and say, you know, y'all like quarterback sweep here, and everybody says yeah, and they're confident, and you got a great chance of that play working. You know, me calling a play that they're not confident in, that's not nearly as good as a play that they're sitting there saying, let's run this, we'll get the yardage. So that was 100% him. He came over there, and then we're in the huddle, and Brett said, let me move to the inside receiver, and I'll crack back on that end. Big 74, he was making some plays. I said, all right, let's do it. You know, so I mean, that's the players coming into a huddle and saying, let's do this. We got confidence in it. We'll make it happen. And us as coaching staff saying, go do it. And you know, that ended up getting us inside the 10. And then a couple plays later, we were able to punch one in. I can't remember if that's the one that we threw to James or threw to Brett. I think that's the one we threw to Brett on a little, we call it a slout, where he slants in and then runs an out, and are able to score there. So.
That was the one he was right in the corner of the end zone and ran over the ref as he was going out of
bounds.
bounds.
That's right. Yep.
Parker Williams came over and said he wanted to run the quarterback sweep there.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you take input from your players like that?
You know, every once in a while. Like I said, when the time's right, as long as it's not some off-the-wall idea. But, you know, it was a great suggestion. You know, that's something that we've had a lot of success with, and we didn't run it all night, so they hadn't seen it yet. And we had numbers out wide. And anytime you run your quarterback, you got numbers. You just got to execute the blocks. And the kids did it. They executed and got the first down. So it was like I said, man. If they're confident in it, there's a chance it's going to work. So that's what we went with.
So then the quarterback sweep for the first down, the Brett Williamson touchdown, and then y'all tried an onside kick.
Yep. So, you know, we opened up the game where we started spread and then brought everybody in and we chipped it out to Parker running down the sideline. Well, then we have a middle onside kick off of that where we come together and we leave Parker out there, and if they stay out wide, I mean, we've got good numbers inside, and James just knocked the top of the ball right into the ground. We got a big hop. They went up to try to catch it, and that ball's spinning weird and hit right off his shoulder pads and bounced right back to us, and we were able to recover it. And not only recover it, we were able to go capitalize on it and go score. And when we scored there, that's what got us within 6. With 11 minutes to go. So that was a huge turnaround for us.
I know did it kind of get y'all really back in the game? I know y'all never, got down on yourselves or out. Y'all have always had a lot of fight, but was that something after the onside kick and the touchdown that everybody said, okay, we got a chance now?
Absolutely. Got the energy up on the sideline. The kids were flying around the field, and that was a big momentum change for us. And we'd have liked to capitalize a little bit more off of it. If we score there and get the stop, now you're talking about a great game, a great finish. But they just, went back to number 10. And see, their running backs and quarterback, they did a tremendous job of getting in tight behind their linemen. If you watch that film, they got their hand on their back and they're following those guys. They got some big linemen, and it's hard to tackle those guys with those big old linemen in the way. Now, you hear coaches all the time say, you got to quit arm tackling. Well, you do got to quit arm tackling, but sometimes that's the only thing that presents itself. You can't form tackle every play.
Right.
And when they got a big lineman blocking you and this guy right behind them, you got to reach, and it's hard to get them. And then their guys were fast, and when they get in there and they see a seam, boom, now they leave that lineman and they accelerate, and they were tough to handle. They got a great running game. They got nobody's been able to stop them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not like we did just some horrible job. You got to give them credit. We didn't lose that game. It's a championship game. Championship games a lot of times are won. They went out and they won that game. They executed. They scored 48 points. We weren't able to stop them enough. They got some stops on us. They got 2 interceptions. They recovered a fumble. So a lot of times coaches will tell you, well, we lost that game, and a lot of people will say, well, most games are lost instead of won. They won that game. We did not stop them enough because they executed. They had a game plan. They executed their game plan better than we did. And it is what it is.
You spoke of the lost fumble. It was on a bad snap. Y'all had Brett Williamson in at quarterback, and he tried to go back and get it, couldn't get on it.
Yeah.
But y'all were able to get the ball back on downs. They tried a fake punt there.
Mm-hmm.
And earlier in the game, they had a punt where they kind of motioned a little, had one guy in the backfield and brought somebody else in to do the punt.
Right.
This time they left the original guy in the backfield. Was that something y'all knew was going to happen?
Well, we haven't seen that all year on film either, So normally 56 has been their punter, and we saw him pregame warming up with 15 as a punter, and he was doing more of like a rugby-style kick, and I think that's something they were trying to progress to. And I think they just look at the numbers and see what they had, and we were coming to block every punt. We thought we could get one, and if you watch that punt, they do end up faking it. But if we got a great jump on the snap, and the snap wasn't great, if he tried to punt it, I think we may have gotten to it. I mean, we were back there quick, because you saw, he caught the ball and went to go sweep, and he took 2 steps and we hit him.
We have 3 or 4 guys back there.
Right, exactly. So, we were bringing 7. So, they got back there. So,
we'll be back with more of head coach Josh Deere right after this.
I'm Ray Lampe, Dr. Barbecue, and I'm here to tell you about the Big Green Egg, the ultimate cooking experience. The versatility of the Big Green Egg is unmatched. It delivers big results as a grill, a smoker, and even an outdoor oven. When the doctor cooks, I demand the best, and that's why I cook on the Big Green Egg, the ultimate cooking experience.
Visit Taylor Foster Hardware in Manchester and start enjoying the ultimate cooking experience on the Big Green Egg. Taylor Foster Hardware, Main Street in Manchester.
Murray Company Realtors in Griffin offer a wonderful riverfront family home. This 2-story Victorian-style home, located off Highway 18 along the Flint River, features 3 bedrooms with 2 full and 1 half bath, open living room, and a full finished basement. Situated on more than 24 acres with a view of the Flint River, this beauty is over 3,300 square feet. Call Mark Hawkins today to view this lovely home. Looking to buy, sell, or rent? Murray Company Realtors is ready to meet your real estate needs.
Welcome back to the Flint River Academy Coaches Show with head coach Josh Deere. I'm your host, David Carden. Coach, I want to touch on a couple of things that probably weren't the best in that game.
Yeah.
Y'all lost the line of scrimmage battle a lot on both sides of the ball.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, they're huge up front. They're strong, they're big. They're all a lot of the difference is they're seniors, we're juniors. You know what I'm saying? They're senior heavy up front, we're junior heavy up front. So we'll have that year. Next year we have a whole year to get to that size. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we hope to do. Is after the game we talked about that. We got to hit the weight room harder. We got to get to where they are, and we couldn't move them. They did whatever they wanted to us. You look at the average line. We were looking at this Thursday before. Our average is 185 pounds across our front. Their average is probably 215, 220. So, you're talking about 50 pounds difference right there.
Yeah.
That's tough. You're playing football. You've got to be big and physical, and it's tough. It's tough to beat a team like that when they're bigger than you, and they got the athletes that they got. So, yeah, this is the second year in a row that they're the best coach team we've played. When you look at their defensive front, they do exactly what their coaches want them to do. They don't have guys straying away from the system. They got guys pinching. They got guys reading their keys, holding their zone down. And when you're that strong and able to just bench press our guys, because that's what they were doing. If you notice, they weren't tackling us in the backfield. They were tackling us at the line of scrimmage because that's how their defense is designed. They want to bench press, find the ball, get rid of the guy, make the tackle, and that's what they were doing. They were throwing us around. They were bench pressing, throwing us one way, going and making the tackle the other way, and that's, they're like we said earlier, they went to the title game last year,
right?
And with that line, so it's not like this is their first rodeo. They're a really good team. They're balanced. They play the edge well. They play inside well. We ran a wheel, which is a running back wheel with James out of the backfield. 74 was the end that we ran it to, and James runs a wheel down the sideline. 74 was step for step with him down the sideline. I don't know if you remember. It was going towards our sideline where Parker bombed it to James. Well, James wasn't wide open because 74 was running step for step with him. So not only are these guys big, they're athletic, they move well. They're just a solid football team. They're if we played them again, it would be tough for us to beat them because of how solid they are. They're big and fast. And it's not really 56. He was sitting there bench pressing our tackles, throwing them off, and then running down jet. Running down quarterback sweep. When Parker was scrambling, he would throw the tackle away and go run down the quarterback. They're a good football team, and they're going to be tough. They're going to be tough for anybody to beat. I would definitely see them in the title game. I think that they'll be in the title game playing somebody, and have a good chance to win it all this year.
One other thing, and I think it might go back to having all those injuries earlier, is y'all really didn't get that wide receiver screen game going up.
Yeah, when we lost, we love Quinlan out wide because of how well he blocks. We love Cullen out wide because he can stretch the field and he blocks so good. We love Jacob out wide because of how well he blocks. And we lost our 3 main blockers out there. And, we brought Posey in. He had to play some wide receiver, and he did a good job. He just wasn't able to block some of those guys. I mean, you're talking about a sophomore having to block seniors. And those guys were just a little bigger and faster. And he made some good plays and then made some plays that weren't as good. So it's nobody's fault. It's just, bad luck that we did lose those guys. And that was the game plan, was come in and throw it out wide and get yardage that way. And we just weren't able to. A couple times we blocked it right and we dropped the pass or overthrew the pass. So like we said earlier, we didn't play a perfect game. And against that team, you got to.
Moving forward,
Yep.
we'll put this game behind you.
Mhm.
You still got a playoff game.
Right.
You got a bye week first.
Yep.
And then you travel to a team you played earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll save most of that probably for next week, so talk about Briarwood and the Reese brothers and all that. What are y'all doing this week at practice that might be a little different?
Well, this week we're having to really take it easy because of the injuries. Cullen can't practice, Quinlan can't practice, Dylan's still, his ankle's still hurting. We've lost Jacob, Brett's quad. If you watched the game Friday night, Brett couldn't run.
Right.
Brett was playing on just pure guts. We run a go to him and he's limping down the sideline. So, we've got so many injuries. We're taking it easy this week. Yesterday we literally watched film and let them go. We didn't even run after. We watched film, let them get out of there. And then, today we'll do a little more film watching, go out, do some dry work, no contact work this whole week, and condition, and try to run off some of the soreness, and just kind of keep it very, very relaxed.
Watching film, y'all are watching their film, their game tape?
Yeah, we watched them versus Windsor, and then today we'll go back and we'll watch them versus us the first time, and just show the guys some of the things we got to do better offensively, and then just kind of show them kind of where they would be against each set defensively. So.
When you watching that tape of when y'all went up there and played them in Warrenton, which this game will be in Warrenton again, are y'all self-scouting more? Are y'all looking at what they did against y'all more? Or
both. We've already broken it down once, so we're just going to go back and break it down again and just kind of it's a little different for us to self-scout that one because everything's going to be changed. Or not everything, but we're going to change the defense a pretty good bit because, like I said, we gave up 500 yards on the ground. What we did then didn't work, so we got to change something and find a way to just slow them down. They're going to get their points. We're not going to shut them out, but I'm not saying that as a knock on us. Nobody's going to shut them out. You know what I'm saying? You look at Piedmont played them. They only had 2 possessions in the first half. Piedmont got an onside kick after an onside kick, and then, but of those 2, Piedmont comes out, kicks off to them. They go right down the field and score. Piedmont's got 9 in the box with those big old guys,
Right.
So they go march right down the field. They score a touchdown. They go up 6-0. Piedmont scores, and then just the onside kicks just start coming. And they stopped them once. I think one time they stopped them in there. But, they're tough to stop. So we got to figure out our best game plan, and we got to tackle well. That 22, the big Reese brother, he's got a stiff arm. And a lot of our secondary.
They got a handful or a face full of that stiff arm.
Yeah, they did. So we got to practice coming in low and making sure we're wrapping up knees and taking them down. So it's gonna be a fun game. It's a game we can win though. It's they beat us twice last year. Both scores 21-14. You look at the game this year. It's 21-28 at half. I mean, it's a winnable game for us. It's not gonna be an easy game, but you have a couple things go your way. You can definitely. I mean, we're a scary team because of how athletic we are. And we've got guys that can score anytime they touch the ball. So that's going to be something that I know they're worried about, and that's something we're going to have to capitalize on. We're going to have to get our playmakers the ball out in space. They miss a tackle, we take it to the house, and we're going to have to try to establish an inside running game. And we don't have to live and die by it, but we have to run some of them in there so that they're having to commit people in there and not sending everybody to the edge. So, we feel like we've got a good game plan offensively and defensively to adjust for what they do. So, like I said, it's a game we can win. We're excited about it, and I know the kids are excited about it because we went over there and felt like we kind of didn't play our best, and now you get a chance to go make up for it. So.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you joining us again this week. Next week we'll really kind of dig into the Warrington and the Reese brothers. And good luck at practice this week, breaking down all that film. Thank you for joining us this week on Flint River Academy Coaches Show with head coach Josh Deere. I'm your host, David Carden, and we're getting ready for the playoff game for the Wildcats. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for watching the Wildcats Football Coaches Show. Join Coach Dare and David Carden next week as they continue to review and preview all the Wildcats football games right here on Mountain Vision.
Let's go!
This is Mountain Vision.